Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are located and joining us from. My name is Shai, and I will be leading this session of Alma Ask the Expert. In today's session, we're going to be covering Alma Analytics, and we'll be answering some of the questions that were submitted by customers and going into an analytics environment and taking a look at some of the different questions and the answers that we have for them. Now, before we get started, I wanted to first take a look at something that we see quite often and was inquired about by some customers, and that is the question how to keep a report current and dynamic in order to control the date and make sure that we don't have to go back and constantly change a hard-coded date in order to keep the report current. Now, something that we can do in analytics, and I'll go ahead and show this in a second, is to use a variable called timestamp add in order to retrieve the current date minus a certain amount of either days, weeks, months, or years, in which case we can basically just set it and forget it once we've created the report and constantly have the data that's retrieved remain current. So the question was, how do I keep my reports current? And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and show you guys in an environment how to go ahead and configure this. Okay, so we're in an environment over here. We're going to log into Analytics. Okay, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a report where we're going to go ahead and take a look at, for example, all transactions with a specific vendor that's taken place over the last year. Now remember, what we want to do is we want to be able to create a report that we're going to be able to retrieve, put it on the home page, get a scheduled report sent to us, or whatever it is that we choose to do. And we don't want to have to go back and constantly change the date. So instead of hard coding a date 1 year ago from now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set it up like this and create a dynamic report. So we'll go into Analysis, choose the subject area Funds Expenditure, and we'll start by adding a fund transactions measurement for the transactions amount. We will take the vendor name, and under transaction date, we're going to use the transaction date month key. And we will also take the transaction date. Thank you, Ben. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to narrow it down to one specific vendor. Okay, in this case, we'll go ahead and we will do a filter on vendor name for Amazon.com. And what we also want to do over here is we want to filter down the transaction date. Only this time we're going to convert this filter to SQL. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to change this to timestamp add. Okay, we're going to do SQL TSI. And we're going to use month. Let me just expand this over here. And then we're going to say go back 12 months. Now, of course, this is interchangeable. We could use day or we can use year if we would like. Okay, then we're going to do go back 12 months from the current date. Okay, so what this should do is it should go ahead and bring us back all the transactions that were made for Amazon.com in the last 12 months. So no matter how long we run this report for, be it 3 months from now, it'll only go back 1 year or go back 12 months and continue to keep the report current. Now, mind you, once we've used the transaction date for the filter, we can actually go ahead and we can remove it from over here. Okay, we don't need that in the report. We don't want a transaction per date. What we want is the transactions by month. So from here, we'll switch over to the Results tab. And as you can see, it's broken down. What we're going to do is okay, so and I've dragged the transaction date full month over here only because we're going back a single year. We want to make sure that we can see what we're talking about. The transaction date month key will give us a numeric a value in regards to the month, but we would also like to see whether we're talking about whether we're talking about, for example, over here, this 4 would both indicate April, but we'd also like to see which one we're talking about. We could actually remove this if we wanted to. Okay, we could go back and take this out, and this would be the results. Now, this type of filter is something that you can apply to almost any report, and this is the best way, and there's a lot of information on the Knowledge Center about how to do this. If you want to keep the report within a range, you can use the timestamp with a between to go ahead and also keep it within a certain range. Whether we're talking about fulfillment, if you want to see loans, for example, have a constant rolling report of loans that are more than 30 days old, instead of hard coding the date in, it's recommended that you use this SQL to keep your report current. Okay, let's go ahead and move on from here. And of course, you could obviously go ahead and create graphs or whatever it is, some type of visualization for this report, and then turn it into a widget or a scheduled report. Now, the next question that we received was, what is the difference between the hide field and exclude field in a table? That's a good question. And I want to show you an example where I can show you the difference between what happens if we hide something from a table or if we go ahead and exclude it from the table. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new analysis now in physical items and give you a use case for where hiding something would have a certain type of behavior on the report, some type of outcome. And if we go ahead and exclude a field, we'll see an entirely different behavior. So we'll go ahead again, choose New, Analysis, Physical Items. Let's wait a second for the, here we go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're now going to add a few columns. So we'll start with the item creation date. Okay, and what we're going to put is the item creation month. Okay, and then we're going to put the item creation month key as well. And you'll see why we need this in a minute. From here, we're also going to go ahead and add the measurement, the number of items. And finally, we'll add the item creation year just to narrow down our report. Okay, what I want to do over here is I want to go to the item creation year, and I'm going to limit it to 2016. Okay, so this is how we have set up our report. We'll go ahead and switch over to the Results tab. And what we can see over here is that the way the report is currently displayed, the first column, the item creation month, it looks like actually alphabetical is what the order is over here. Meaning we have A, F, J, M, as opposed to the item creation month key where it's out of order. So in a situation where we would want it to be reflected not by alphabetical order, but rather by the order of the months, then there's some type of manipulation that we need to do to the report, and this is where the hide capability comes in. Okay, so what we're going to do over here is we're going to right-click over here on the item creation month key. Okay, and we're going to do, I'm sorry, one second. We're going to sort. Okay, we're going to sort ascending, and as you can see, it now pushes the item creation month into the correct order. It's no longer alphabetical, but rather according to the creation month key, But if we got to a point where we excluded this, then it would set us back to where we were before. So what I'm going to do at this point in time is I no longer have use for the visual side of the creation month key, but I do need it to still be functional. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click on the top over here, and I'm going to do hide column. Okay, so as you can see, the report is the creation month key is still operating over here, but it's operating behind the scenes as a hidden column. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the difference if we go ahead and if we exclude something. So we'll go ahead and we'll go to Edit Table. Okay, and as you can see, the hidden column is grayed out over here. Let's go ahead and see what happens if we now take the creation month key and we exclude it from the report as opposed to hiding it. So if we drop it down here, what you can see is that the item creation month alphabetical order is now king, so to speak, when it comes to displaying the report. So that's the basic difference right there between either hiding something or excluding something from a report. Now, as you guys might know, when you're setting up the criteria, you can add a filter to a field, and then you could go ahead and delete it afterwards, and it will still be relevant. For example, we have the item creation year is equal to 2016. Even if I delete it from here, right? So on the results tab, we're currently getting this column is still displaying, but not really necessary for our report, since we may give it a title or something like items created in 2016. We can go back to the criteria tab, and we can actually delete the column, and the filter will remain, as you can see over here. Okay, so that was a really good question, and that's the difference right there between how to hide and exclude. Okay, let's move on to the next question. I need a list of things purchased this fiscal year with call numbers, and I know how to get a list of items purchased, but I don't know how to get call numbers for them. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's say to go ahead and create this report, initially what we were doing over here was we were going to create a report from the funds expenditure area. Okay, and we were going to take the transaction date. Okay, and from the bibliographic details area, we can add the title, and then take the fiscal period start date and narrow it down to the following. Okay, so if we go back and we grab the results, what we're getting in this report is we're getting the transaction date titles and fiscal period start, but we can't get call numbers since that would fall under the holding details. That would be retrieved from holding details in a physical items report. So I checked into this, and what I found out is that there is an upcoming June development in analytics where a fund subject area will be added to physical items. And although it's possible at the moment, as you guys may know, you can create a report from another report. Right? For example, you could. One of the options here is based on results of another analysis. So in theory, you could combine two unrelated subject areas. We discourage the use of this use one results based on another analysis for a number of reasons. One is that it is very heavy. And because it's heavy, it could also lead to timeout issues, in which case you're not getting what you want from the report anyways. So keep a lookout for this development coming in June about adding this fund subject area. As you can see over here, this area will be added, and then to the physical items report, in which case this shouldn't be a problem anymore to create this type of report. Okay, the next question was, are there any plans for tutorials on connecting Alma Analytics with Tableau? Right now, there are no future plans to connect the OBI with Tableau, and this is mainly because of security issues, as we're currently not able to open up OBI to Tableau. So unfortunately, the answer over here is that there are no tutorials, and there's also no plans at this point in time to go ahead and connect these. Now, the next question that we had was, can the analytics be broken down based on campuses and user groups? So this question can be handled a couple of ways. If we're talking about just creating an analysis in the users area, second. Right, so campuses and user groups, right? So indeed what we could do is we could add some fields such as primary identifier, let's say first name, last name, and then also we have user group, and we can also use campus code. Now often there's a use case where you're going to do a bulk update to users in Alma, where you actually, from an operational perspective, you may decide to create a report based on user group, and then re-upload it into Alma to make some type of bulk user change, such as expiry dates, or prepare a batch of users for purge. So from a basic level, you can go ahead and do this. All right, so if we go to the results, we should get these fields populated, and right, and as I mentioned, you could go ahead and you could export. I went ahead and exported this report before, and as you can see, indeed, it's a retrievable field. They're both retrievable fields. For example, we have user groups over here, and also you could do it based on campus code as well. Okay, so that is something that you can do. Now, as far as link resolver usage analytics subject, this is tentatively scheduled to be added somewhere down the line. We don't have an actual time, and of course, we understand that for multi-campus environments, it would be very useful to have this in the link resolver area to filter and display link resolver usage based on campus. So I know it's something that is tentatively in the pipeline, and obviously, when something comes out, it'll be documented and you will be notified.
Can you hear it out there?
Okay, now the next question was, is it possible to create a report that will show bibliographic records and holding records without items? And it would be helpful to have this option for withdrawn items when our library updates holdings in OCLC. The short answer is no, it's not currently possible. However, in 2017, there are plans to add a title level subject area for bib records of all inventory types, and also no inventory, with an indicator as to whether it has items or not. So this is going to be something that should be rolled out hopefully in the next year or so. And of course, we understand, and this might be another case where it'd be very helpful for customers who are doing overlap analysis, checking if they have two inventory types for the same resource, if there's a holding something in print and something also electronic. So again, it's something that hopefully at least there are plans right now that in 2017 to roll something out like this. Now the next question was an interesting question, and I'd like to show you something over here. Is it possible to use analytics to generate lists of unique holdings, meaning only one copy in the library or institution? The answer is yes, and I'd like to go ahead and show you how to do this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a physical item report. And set it up as follows. From the bibliographic details, we're going to take the MMS ID. Okay, and the reason why we're taking the MMS ID is important to take it because it is unique on the bibliographic level. Okay, we're also going to take the number of items. That's obviously important over here. take this measurement. And lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to take the life cycle, okay, and we're going to add a filter of active. Otherwise, what we're going to get is results that include withdrawn items. Okay, so we'll go ahead and filter this over here. Okay, we'll choose the option of active. Okay, and we're also, the question that was asked over here is, can you generate a list of unique holdings? Now, in theory, I could go ahead and we could specify the number of items is equal to 1. However, the large number of results would take a very long time to generate, and obviously we don't have that kind of time over here. So what I'm going to do kind of for a proof of concept over here is I'm going to set the number of items to be equal to 3, and then once we get the results, we'll use the unique MMS ID to go ahead and take a look in Alma and see that it's indeed retrieved the results that we're looking for. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's go ahead and take an example over here. Okay. Okay, and as you can see, it's we've gotten this result based on the MMS ID. Over here we see 3 copies over here, and if we drill down, we can see that indeed it had 3. So of course, if we used 1, then we should have gotten a list of results that are unique. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Is there any way to count or list holding records that lack attached item records? Again, this is not currently possible. However, as mentioned before, in 2017, there are plans to add the title level subject area for bib records of all inventory types, and also no inventory with an indicator to determine whether or not it has items. And again, we can understand that the case here is to help customers also. One is to see if it lacks attached item records, but also for customers who will be doing overlap analysis to check if there's 2 inventory types for the same resource. Okay, now we had another question also, which somebody submitted, which was, often my reports contain information that apparently is not current even weeks after updating in Alma. How often is analytics? Let's see, unique holdings has nothing to do with the number of items, unique serial. Okay, unique holdings has nothing to do with the number of items. A unique serial holding could have 100 of items. How do we find the list of titles? Okay, thank you. I guess I misunderstood the question. Michael, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to check what the best way to do this. Okay, so here's a solution from Michael. Let's see if we can go ahead and do this actually. Create a function count distinct on the holdings ID. Let's see if this works. Okay, so is this the suggestion over here, Michael? Okay, thank you. Let's hope that the report is not too robust in order to bring back results. We might just be dealing with a very large environment over here, in which case, see, why is this not bringing back the report? Okay. Okay, we'll give it another couple of seconds and maybe we'll switch over to a different environment where there's less data. That's correct. Good point. All right, we don't need the items for that. Okay, we can delete this out. Although we might be better off over here trying to use a larger number as well so we're not getting... Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to a different environment where perhaps we have less data. Okay, now while we're waiting for the results to generate, we had a question where somebody said that their report apparently contains or seems to often contain information that is not current even weeks after being updated in Alma, and they want to know how often is analytics synced with Alma. Now the answer to that is that it is supposed to be synced every single night, so there's about a 1-day delay in it. You can always see in the environment over here under analytics when the data is updated, right, and when it's available. If you think that there is some information that is not current in analytics, then we recommend that you open a Salesforce case with all the details, meaning which data you're currently seeing or which data appears to be updated in Alma, but analytics is not bringing back the correct values. Now let's go ahead and take a look at one of the results over here. And I'd be very happy to see that this is a solution. Okay, so this looks like it is a good solution. Thank you very much, Michael Johnson from Minnesota. In fact, maybe we'll take a second one just to confirm. 0311. Okay, maybe we got the wrong one here. Let's see, 99100311100. Okay, looks good. Thank you very much. Now, we had another question over here, which was, what is the best way to identify license information using analytics? Let's see what happened over here. Okay, so if we go into an e-inventory report, currently there is a subject area for portfolio license information. Okay, and in the future, what we're looking at here, you can see it in this environment, but in a regular customer environment, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the one before so we can actually see. Okay, so right now there is a portfolio license section. And in the future, there are plans to add a collection license subject area as well, with more information. All right, this is the environment that we're looking at is a QA environment, but this should be added to other environments also in 2017. Now, we had one more question over here, which is, what is the best way to link physical holdings with portfolios in order to get a good collection representation by call number for collection development? And again, this is something that we've spoken about a couple times over here, which is that since analytics is currently split by resource types, meaning we have a physical items report and then also a e-inventory report, there really isn't a good way to do this right now. But there are future developments in the pipeline, and also with the aforementioned combined resource types and title level subject areas, hopefully will help to go ahead and create a report that would give you a better idea of collection representation using fields that are currently available only in one area and not in the other. Any questions? Thank you, Allison. Absolutely, and this is something that is obviously important, and I know that it is in the pipeline. I spoke to somebody over in development, people that are working in analytics, and as I mentioned, it's something that's definitely in the pipeline, and hopefully in the future will become more available. It's definitely set that there's going to be the collection the collection license section will be added at some point in time. So that I was able to confirm. I don't have a firm timeline for that, but I know that it is in the pipeline. Okay. Any other questions pertaining to the topics that we went over? And again, thank you very much to Michael for his input early on in the session. Would you guys like to see one more example of? Okay, great. I was just about to ask that. Going back to the timestamp, is there a way to use information from another field? Days to renewal. Well, let me go ahead and show another example of using timestamp add. And perhaps Ronit might want to lend in on this one regarding Laurel's question. Let's go ahead and take a look and see if it's possible. Okay, so. And when you talk about renewal, are we talking about on the subscription side, or we're talking about like? Okay, hold on. I assume we're doing that. I'm familiar with timestamp add mostly in the funds expenditure and fulfillment side of things. So, in fact, what I'm going to answer about this is I'm going to check on it. Funds expenditure. Okay, I'm going to check your question, and I'll follow up afterward with some information. What I want to do is, you can filter for all date field. Okay. Okay, so as far as the documentation for the syntax for the timestamp add function, if you go to the Doc Center and you search timestamp add, you'll find a wealth of information over there by use case, which is actually where you can find use cases for a wide variety of examples where timestamp add would be useful. This question over here that I see from Allison, we did see this question, and the answer is that this is not something that can be done. So this was just it was simply we looked at this question, and it's something that you would not be able to do. Now I want to show one more example of timestamp add. Let's say in the fulfillment area. Okay, so let's go ahead and my understanding was, and I had spoken to somebody, one of our senior analytics guys, and he said that he didn't think that this was something that was possible. If you have a suggestion, I'm sure everybody would be happy to hear it. But I did run this past him, and he said this wasn't something that he thought he could do. And of course, if you're able to come up with some type of report and submit it for the greater good of the community, obviously, I'm sure that would be very appreciated. I just want to show the timestamp ad, and also, while we're at it, if we look it up over here, as you can see, there's information over here. Another thing that you have over here is a lot of reports. For example, right here, retrieving records based on criteria of X days before today. As you can see, it's over here. You can get information. There's a lot of different reports that I know that have been created with picture tutorials to show you how to use the timestamp ad functionality.
Record your message after the tone. When you've finished, you can hang up or press 1.
Okay, so let's go ahead and set up this over here. Let's do and maybe put some borrower details in as well. Okay, and we could go ahead and use the due date over here. And the most recent entry that we should have is 30 days ago. Okay, so the information, as you can see, the most recent due date over here. Again, this is where recommend that you go for the timestamp ad. For example, we can post this over here. There's a lot more documentation if you continue to search. And we highly suggest using it so that you don't have to go back and maintain your report with Okay, let's see what Fred has over. If you're entertaining general questions, here's one based on our mark from earlier in the presentation without using this. Okay, I'll tell you what. I know that on the Knowledge Center there actually is an article about how to do this off the cuff. I'm not able to tell you how to do it. However, I know that there is an article, and I'll make sure that it gets posted for this. I've seen the article on how to use it. The recommendation as far as not using one report based on another report is not a general concept. It was applied to the specific question of a person saying, I need a list of things purchased in a fiscal year with call numbers. and we recommended against doing that only because there's a June development where the fund subject area is going to be added. It's entirely possible to use it. In this specific case, we recommended against doing it. Okay, I'm going to search for that. I'm going to search for that article on the Knowledge Center afterwards, and we'll see if we can get it posted. I know that there is a way to do that. Okay, thank you guys very much for joining us today, and much appreciation to the people that assisted throughout with recommendations. I know that this will be posted afterwards by our education team, and thank you, Ben. And I'm going to go ahead and look for that article right now, and I'll send it over to Ben to have it posted over there. Okay, so thank you guys very much, and have a great rest of the day.